Hello and welcome back. My name is Patsy Mokungah and I'm still your host on this series on SYNLAB Podcast, where we've been talking about our bone health. We've been going beyond the skeleton and talking about the truth about our bones. Like I said, my name is Patsy. I'm still your host and I'm very excited to be here because if you've not watched the previous episode, you need to go back. We've been having a very interesting conversation on bones. But like I said before, I don't know much about bones. I'm learning just like you are. And because we have to learn, we have somebody here who is an expert and knows his onions when it comes to bones. Thank you so much, Dr. Akinmokun, for being here with us.
Thank you.
So right now we're going to be talking about something very interesting. We're going to talk about the problems that occur with bones. I believe that most people don't think about bones beyond maybe bones breaking. Nobody ever thinks that there's something like bone disease. I remember I've heard about bone disease before, but I was very surprised. And somewhere in the back of my head, I'm like, how can a bone have a disease? You've helped with that because I'm sure I thought that because I did not think that bones were alive. But now we know bones are alive. So I'm going to ask, first of all, because why is bone disease often called like a silent condition?
Yeah, thank you for that. The reason why it's called silent condition is because when issues are happening within the bone, one would not feel any symptoms or sign, and a lot of things could have happened, and you only see the end product before you get to know that, something like this has been happening, and that's the reason they call it a silent condition, silent disease, really.
Okay, so the bone is not like, when we fall sick with other, ailments, so to speak, there are symptoms like pain. But if you have like a disease in your bones, wouldn't you feel pain?
No, not at all. Let me put it this way. It depends on the type of condition.
Oh, okay.
Now, if you're talking about, if you break your bone, of course, it's going to be very painful. That is not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the conditions that happen in the bone because of the increased activity of the taking off. In the first episode, we talked about the remodeling, in which we have a bone building up and, being taken off also. And then we talked about that as we get to 40, the process of taking off becomes faster than the one of building. And so the bone tends to become weakened. All right. And that's what we're talking about, the silent condition, because the bone can be getting weakening and weakening and weakening in the body without the person that is having the bone itself getting to know that the bone is weaker. So until one day they the person just probably sneezes and then, breaks a bone, or like one of my patients very many years ago, she said she was dancing and then she broke her bone.
That one is not bone again.
Because the bone was weak. Because the bone was weak. And so such a thing can happen. I've had someone that was an elderly person that was not mobile, that was not moving. And then they tried to carry the person and then the bone got broken.
Just by carrying the person?
I am telling you. Telling you. And so the process that led to that has been happening. But it was silent. Nobody got to know that that was happening until when the end product was seen. And the end product was the breakage of the bone, really.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And so it's something that's why they call it silent condition.
Okay. Wow. This is very interesting. So I have like two bone conditions here. One I've heard of before and one I haven't heard of. So I'd like to ask you questions on them. The first is osteoporosis. What is osteoporosis? And the second is osteopenia. That's the one I've not heard of.
Yeah.
So how are they different from each other?
All right. So that I won't sound so grammar. Both of them are medical conditions. Okay. And so let's picture it this way. We have bone that has normal strength. We have bone that have I'm just giving this as an illustration. We have bone that has a normal strength. We have a bone that have half strength. We have a bone that have, let's say maybe 90% of strength is gone. Okay. So that three, different stages. Exactly. So when we say half strength, like I said, it's not half strength, but I'm only using that as an illustration. When you have an half strength, we say it is an osteopenia. That means the bone strength is weaker than the normal bone. Yes, that is what we call osteopenia. Then when the bone strength is now much more less than the osteopenia, then we call it osteoporosis. So osteoporosis is a medical condition that weakens the bone, make the bone fragile, make the bone brittle in such a way that the risk for fractures is really high. It's very high. That's osteoporosis. But osteopenia is when we have a bone with the bone mineral density that is less than the one for the normal bone. Okay. Now, for us to be able to make this diagnosis, there's a particular test that we do. Okay. We call it DEXA, dry energy X-ray absorptiometry. All right. It's something that we do for people that we suspect or they have risk factors for osteoporosis. We ask them to go and do that DEXA. When they do the DEXA, there's a particular score that DEXA gives us. Okay. Now, for normal bone, also we call it the T-score. All right. The T-score for normal bone is -1 and above. Okay. For osteopenia, it's between -1 and -2.5. Anything -2.5 and below is osteoporosis. And osteoporosis, like we said, is a situation in which the bone is so brittle and so fragile in such a way that any activity that normally should not cause problem will break a bone. I mean, we had people that slipped and fall and then they break their hip. You know, I mean, that's what you call osteoporosis. Well, so those are things that can happen, really. And there are some people that may be predisposed to this osteoporosis.
Okay, I think I know. Anyways, that's my next question. Who are the people who are most at risk, especially in our environment?
All right, so we will put it this way. Postmenopausal women, women that have stopped menstruating, because
what have we done to this world?
Wait, calm down now. But you know, like I always joke, it's a women's world, though. I mean, we only say it's a women's world.
Amen.
Anything, okay, so ask me for something now. You'll get it from me.
Okay.
But let the fellow man ask me.
We'll circle back after this.
We'll circle back after that. Okay. So it's not about, but unfortunately, when the hormone that helps to maintain menses in menstruation in women also help to maintain the integrity of the bone. And so when women stop menstruating, that effect of the hormone on the bone is withdrawn. And so once the effect of that hormone on the bone is withdrawn, then the rate at which the bones start to break down will be far more than the rate at which to be built up. And so that could lead to osteoporosis. Okay? That's postmenopausal women. People that are inactive, like I told you, an example of someone that has been lying for a very long time, has not been moving. And so, because our bone, like I told you about remodeling, remodeling helps us, to build up. And it needs the remodeling actually with our physical activity. It helps the bone and the cells that help us to build the bone. We call those cells osteoblasts, to build more bones. And so, if activity is reduced, the building up of the bone also is reduced. And so, therefore, people that are immobile, people that are inactive, they tend to have weaker bones. People also that are on certain medications. People that are on medications for long, like corticosteroids, people that have asthma or rheumatoid arthritis, usually they can be on some corticosteroid, prednisolone, dexamethasone for a very long time. The effect of these medications on the bone also can weaken the bone. Then people that are on cancer treatment, some cancer treatment medications also could weaken the bone. People that are on anticonvulsants, people that have convulsion, there are some anticonvulsants that actually can also, they have effect on the bone and that cancer. And people also that take what you call proton pump inhibitor, people that have either gastric, the ulcers, peptic ulcer disease, either gastric or duodenal ones, or people that are on acid reflux and they are taking what you call proton pump inhibitor. They also could, when they are taking it a very long time. All these medications we're talking about are people that have been on them for a very long time. They have effect on the bone. And so those are the people that actually could be prone to. And then also, there could be family history also. Oh yes. So if in the family, somebody has been diagnosed to have osteoporosis, such a person also should watch out for.
I'm doing a mental scan right now.
Oh, could just calm down. Just calm down.
Okay. So now that we've seen the people who are more at risk, I think an important question, which of course should be on the hearts of everybody, is when you are diagnosed, I was already thinking that when we were talking about osteoporosis, right? If you are diagnosed, is it reversible? Can somebody whose bones have become brittle, can they become strong again, or is it something that just you now have to just manage till the end?
Well, interestingly, I mean, well, this is 2026,
Mm-hmm.
and I know a lot of researches are still going on, and so, but as at present, it can be managed properly,
Properly.
and then also I would say it can be partially reversible.
Okay.
Yes. So I would say management. So if someone is diagnosed to have osteoporosis, we make sure that at least the person is. We have to make sure that the person increase the calcium intake. All right. All the harmful habits that can cause more bone to be eroded, we'll make sure that we take them off.
Mm-hmm.
What are these harmful habits? Smoking.
Smoking can affect the bones?
Oh, yes, it does affect the bone.
Wow.
Yes, it does, really. Smoking, excessive alcohol.
Mm.
Yes, excessive alcohol also can be a problem. And then also, well, people talk so much about caffeine, Caffeine also, especially if you are taking too much caffeine, could also have an effect on the bone, really.
None of these things affected me till you reach caffeine, no?
Well, anyways. But I think studies have shown that people that take about 3 to 4 cups of coffee every day. Okay, Yasif, I like that. 3 to 4 cups of coffee every day, actually. If they take it for a very long time also, it could have an effect. Okay. So we want to make sure that we remove that. And then if you consult your doctors, there are some medications that can be given that can help to build up the bone. Yes, so we have some medications. Example is what we call alendronate. Alendronate helps us to make sure that the cells that break down the bone, it reduces the activity. And so if such a person that has been diagnosed to have osteoporosis is given such medication, then the cells that are breaking down the bone, the activities is reduced such a way that the bone can be building up. And then also there are some medications that can help build up bone actually in itself. And so the person can be moved from osteoporosis stage to osteopenia. Exactly. So,
and if you had osteopenia, you can...
Oh yes, of course. Such a person, the risk factor for fracture actually will get reduced because of that. So, but for the person to not get back to the normal bone mass, that is not possible. And that's why I say it can be partially reversible.
Well, I'm still happy regardless because I'm a very hopeful person. So I like when I hear hopeful news. I whenever it's like, oh yeah, we can treat this, we can manage this. To me, it's just like, thank you, Jesus. There's possibility that something can happen. So if you are out there and you're dealing with osteoporosis or osteopenia, obviously the story has not ended. Like doctor said, you can speak to your doctor and change every time that we have a podcast or a health discussion is always change your lifestyle. Lifestyle changes. We're all listening by the grace of God. So I think the last question I'm going to ask on this particular episode is, why do a lot of people find out about their bone health or bone problems when they've had a fracture or something along that line, an accident, they've broken a bone, but before that, just nothing?
Well, part of what is causing it is what we're addressing today. Because a lot of people actually do not know so much about the bone. Yeah. And I think the more we do this, the more people get to know about their bones. Okay. So it's lack of education. People don't get to know. That's number one. Then number two, sometimes our attitude also. Yeah. Because even some people know some things that can actually harm them, but they are less care about that, really. And so people's attitude about their health also should improve. And then also, if you're told that some certain things are harmful, try and avoid it.
Yeah, a lot of us have that it can never be me kind of mindset. Like, oh yeah, it's a possibility, but it doesn't affect me. I know that so many of us as human beings just have that belief that it's not you until it's you. So I think that's it. Okay. Thank you very much, sir. There's been so much to learn. At least if you didn't know, we've learned on this episode that there are diseases that affect the bones. We've learned the kinds of diseases. We've learned who is at risk for such diseases, and the fact that at the end of the day, at the end of the story, there's still hope. Thank God for medicine. Every day I'm just like, thank God for medicine, you know. So you have to stay here because we're not done with this discussion. There's actually so much more that we have to learn about bones. So while we're going to take a break so that we can relax, get back our energy, I want you to go on Spotify and YouTube and subscribe to this podcast. Share it to a friend. At least this one is not even a special topic, so to speak. All of us have bones, everybody. So you need to, and you know, the way doctor just said right about now, the problem, our first problem is lack of knowledge, you know, which is what we're handling here. So I need you to share this with as many people as you can. Feel free to leave a comment so that we can have a discussion about this. Like and be right back because we'll be back with more discussions on bones. Thank you and see you very soon.